As we are starting the new year, I wanted to mention here a very fundamental idea and concept which I mentioned also in the afterlife shiurim, which is extremely relevant for every person to know. And that is, the Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah Lamed Bet, that the Malachei Asharet said, the Malachim said in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, why are they not singing Shira? Why does Bnei Yisrael during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur not sing Shira? They say Hallel. We know we don't say Hallel, we don't sing Shira. What's the reason? So Kadosh Baruch Hu answers that Hashem is Yoshev al Kisei Adin, Sifrei Chayim U'Mavet Ptuchim Lefanav. The books of the life and the dead are open in front of him, and you want them to go ahead and sing Shira? As we all understand from that simple understanding that Gemara is, we are standing on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and the books of life, if we're going to live or not make it till the end of the year, Rachmana litzlan, are open in front of us. Rav Chaim Volozhiner, in his drasha to his slichot, we have one of his drashot, an incredible drasha which he said 115 years ago, says 215 years ago, says like this, not like you understood. The Sifrei Chayim is referring to us. The book of the people who are alive are open in front of him, meaning our din is opened up in front of him, and he will judge us to the right or to the left if we're going to make it or not going to make it. What Sifrei Meitim? The Sfarim of those people that already are dead, the people in the cemetery, the people that are up in Gan Eden, the people who are suffering Lo Aleinu and Gehenna. All of those people have a separate din v'cheshbon, meaning on Rosh Hashanah there's a Rosh Hashanah down here, a Yom Adin in our world, and there's also a Rosh Hashanah which is a Yom Adin in the higher worlds, in the worlds of those people that went to Olam Amet, to the world of Gan Eden. And of course the obvious question is, what kind of judgment do you do year by year to such a person? The person has no free choice. We know that he's not able to do mitzvah. It's all over, gigs up, the credits are rolling. When he dies, it's all finished. So what is it? What's the big deal? How can you tell me that things can change from year to year, that he needs to be rejudged, recapped, rechecked every time? It doesn't make any sense. But the answer is a very fundamental yisod, as I mentioned, which is from the Ramban in Shari Gmul, and as I will see soon from other Achronim, the Pachet Yitzchak, not Rav Hudner, from a Tshuvat Pachet Yitzchak from 150 years ago, and that is that there's an idea that even after a person is dead, one should know that your actions are still effective. Your actions never die. Your actions are extremely powerful. That even after a person dies, they still remain effective. How? Lamashal, if a person wrote a sefer, if he wrote a book which affects people in some way and have some people grow, then you should know that actually affects a person, sort of speak. If he has children that Bezrat Hashem he raised, Al Taras HaKodesh, then they are able to raise the person who is no longer alive. Their parents are able to move from step to step, even in Olam Haba. They remain dynamic, even in Olam Haba. Things change. Of course you have no free choice. Of course you yourself can't do a mitzvah. But all your totzaot, all the byproducts of your actions, the fruits of your labors are being seen, are being become apparent. You're able to see what will happen of this person. If a person gave shiurim on Torah anytime, especially if a person's able to give shiurim and put them out, and people can see them, and it becomes known to many people, so he is racking up brownie points even without knowing it. Also when he's alive, but especially even when he is dead, he's still able to do it. Look at this on Torah anytime. There are big tzaddikim that passed away, and they still put up the shiurim that he said in the past, such as like Rav Wallerstein and others, that they're able, or Beryl Wine, they're able to put his shiurim up. So think about this person, that even though he's already in Olam HaEmet, he's already in the higher world, but still, every day to day, he's still getting more and more schuyot. That's an incredible feature that we have that needs to be appreciated. When a person does kiruv rechokim, when you're mekarev a lot of people, or one person, that makes a difference, but every person that you're mekarev, you put him closer, you should realize the tremendous amount of schuyot that you get and continue getting as a result of it. You help a person who psychologically needs help, and you pick that person off his feet and is able to get up and start a family and live his life. You get credit for everything that you went ahead and helped him. Rav Shach in his later years was blind. He basically could not see. It was very difficult. He used to have people read the Gemara for him because he wasn't able to see. When they were reading, he corrected them. He said, you said the wrong word, you pronounced the letter wrong, etc. He knew it Baal Peh, he knew it by heart anyways. But because he was so limited in his learning capabilities, the Gadol Ador at the age of 98, 99, 100 years old, you know what he would do? He would make shidduchim. He would go ahead and make shidduchim because he knew that if I got to be racking up the schuyot, and if I can't do it by learning Torah, so let me at least make shidduchim. At least I'm able to produce and create families. When you make a shidduch, do you realize the incredible amount of schuyot you get also for the future? Because that family will be, Azat Hashem, go al derech haTorah to Kodesh. You'll go ahead and have children and great-grandchildren, etc., etc. And the person who made the shidduch gets a tremendous amount of profit. Okay, he'll get financial profit. But beside the financial profit, he'll get a tremendous amount of spiritual profit, which will take him upstairs to Shemayim, even after he or she is not around anymore. You realize what this means? We have a free pick here to be able to go ahead and choose right, that b'charta b'chayim, to choose what's necessary. And when you do that, you realize how many ramifications, how far-flung your actions can actually reach, that even when he's not even here, even when that person's not even here, it still exists. An incredible feat, an incredible understanding, and like I said, a realization that some people will take this, wow, that's scary. But take it the other way. It should empower you to realize this is incredible, the amount that I am capable of doing. When we speak about greats, the one who always sticks in my head the most is Rashi. Rashi, who lives without Rashi? Rashi is the Rebbe of all of Klal Yisrael for the past 850 years. Rashi is the man. You can't open a Gemara, you can't open a Chumash, you can't do anything, men, women, doesn't make a difference. Rashi is the man from the beginning to the end. You know that when Rashi was nifter, passed away 800 years ago, is not the same Rashi as he is today. He has 800 years of Talmidim, of people that learned by him. Could you imagine what his Olam Haba looks like at this stage? 800 years ago when he died, he was in a certain place. But another 800 years later, whoa, it's incredible. Because he knew how to utilize, listen to this, 63 years of life. He didn't live very long. Those 63 years that he lived were able to produce a rack up schuyot which are endless. I know someone who has a very difficult time finding a job. You want to know why? Because he was once an extremely, extremely wealthy, successful person through a atar, through a site, which he had, and he was making sales on a constant basis. And he would tell me that he would go to sleep at nighttime, wake up the next morning, and he was thousands of dollars richer, even tens of thousands of dollars richer. His money was just rolling in like a jackpot machine without even having to do very much. Incredible, no? So, lo aleinu, it should never happen to anyone, but it ended up going down. He ended up going bankrupt and losing it. And in the process of losing it, he can't find a job. You know why he can't find a job? Because he's not willing to work for however many dollars for an hour. He can't work an hour-to-hour job. It's very difficult after having the freebies of going and having so much outcome and being able to receive an incredible amount of schar, to be able to do it by working hour by hour and day by day. But you know what? You can do it. That's right, you can do it. Every action that you pick, every time you pick something that does in the right direction, the amount of schar you get is endless. You don't even feel it. You don't even know that you're getting more and more of it, because it happens automatically. It happens afterwards without you even knowing about it. And lo aleinu, it goes to the other direction. Those people that raise their children in apikorset and kfir and some type of heresy in a way that's incorrect. Unfortunately, we have people in the Knesset, over here in the parliament, over here in Eretz Israel, that they are killing their parents who are already dead, because they're turning over in the grave realizing he meant to raise a child like this, but he doesn't realize about how bad it was what he did. Because every time this person is chasing after Torah and mitzvahs, this person is chasing after religion and trying to torment and destroy everything that Judaism stands for, his father, who is the reason why he's doing what he's doing, ends up being the one who's suffering that much more. And that is exactly how it works in both directions. L'tov u'lemutav, for the good and for the bad. And a person has to know the incredible ramifications of those decisions. And this is, like I said, an empowering idea, an incredible way of thinking before Yom Kippur. Because we have to realize that yes, every action that we do is precious. There's so much behind it. And don't take it as a point of, oh wow, that's scary. That's too scary. The person wants to give up from this. That's too much. I have no idea what I'm going to be able to do. No, that's not where we're meant to go with this information. You're supposed to utilize it to realize and appreciate who you are, the power that lies between your fingertips. That is why the Ramban says in Shari Gabul that there are 3 Yom Adins. We have 3 times when we stand in judgment. One, like we had now in Rosh Hashanah, year to year. One, when a person dies, Yom Mitato, of course, it needs to be decided which direction is he going, up or, I'm not going to say, right? Which direction is he going? We have to know how much, where, how much Gan Eden is he going to get, what level is he going to be. There's a proper Yom Adin. But there's a 3rd Yom Adin Gadol, and this is where we spoke about in the afterlife shiurim. The Yom Adin Gadol in the time of Tchiyat HaMeitim, when there's a full judgment on everybody, the Meitim and the Chayim, people alive and people dead. Everybody gets a judgment. And you ask, why should dead people get a judgment? Same question we said before. They're already dead. They already received a judgment. What's new by the Tchiyat HaMeitim? And the answer is, as mentioned, because things changed. At the time when a person dies, Be'asher Hu Shama, we judge him for who he is at that period of time. But when he's dead for 300 years, when he's sitting in Olam HaMet for 250 years, when he's there for a certain period of time, things change. He had certain schuyot. People used his farm. People listened to shiurim. People used his tzedakah. He built a building. He supported a kollel. He started an organization. He had a gamach, which kept going. Everybody has these tremendous things and capabilities that they're able to do. Whether you're capable financially, intelligently, whether you're able to help a person out just emotionally, whether you're able, like I said, to make shidduchim, it doesn't make a difference. A person has to go out there and try to help Klal Yisrael, to do what you can, to be able to be part of what you can do. Use your skills, your capabilities, your interest to be able to spill over and do what you can to help someone else, because it is an endless amount of schar that will be given for the person who is able to do that. That's the yesod of the Yom Adin Gadol. When Shaul HaMelech was nervous, he was scared, he was in fear about his situation, he had to speak to Shmuel. The problem is Shmuel HaNavi was already not alive anymore. So he did something which was not allowed, and he went to a sorceress. He went to a woman, a sorcerer, that was able to raise Shmuel from the dead. And it says in the pasuk that he was in the pasuk. It says that Shmuel was very upset. Lamer gizitani la'alototi. Why did you raise me up? Your gizitani is a lashon of irritation, of frustration. Why did you do this to me? That's what he asked. And the Chazal tell us in the Gemara in Chagiga and Daf Dalet and 4, the Gemara says that what that means is he was upset. You know why? He got scared when he was being raised from he was sitting comfortable in Gan Eden. When he was being raised from the dead, he thought Higia Tchiyat HaMeitim, the resurrection of the dead, and Higia Yom Adin Gadol, and the day of final judgment is here. And he was scared. Excuse me? Scared? Shmuel HaNavi? You know Shmuel HaNavi was compared to Moshe and Aaron? Do you know he was one of the greatest Nevi'im that existed? What are you worried about? How I should stand up in his footsteps, in his foot soles, to be able to be a Shmuel HaNavi? He's scared? Oh, if he's scared, I'm afraid what I'm going to be thinking about. Why is he scared? Because the answer is because you never know the ramifications of all your actions. Do you hear this? This is said by the Ramban. That it could be that his ramifications over the past, whatever amount of years he was dead, for those few amount of years that he passed away already, during that time, maybe it affected someone. Maybe he affected someone in the wrong way. Maybe he gave the wrong tochacha to someone and get him off the derech. Maybe he did something incorrect and he never knew about it. And now, in the time of Yom Adin Gadol, he's going to have to stand up to the final fruits of certain actions that he did. And yes, I said it could be a little bit scary, but I don't mean to go that direction at all. I'm going in the other direction to realize how precious your actions are, how far-reaching they can reach. When a Jew does something, his actions are incredible. Shema Yore Shorish Pare, when we say in the pasuk in Parshas Nitzavim, We speak about the fact that pen yesh bechem shorish pareh rosh v'la'ana. Shorish is a root. And the idea behind it is a little seed. If you can look microscopically into that seed, you are able to see everything that will come out of it. All the DNA you'll be able to see from that little seed. You can make a big sycamore tree, very strong tree, or you can have all the trees that you see in Yosemite or Yellowstone. The incredible, powerful trees that have been growing for 2,000 years and are the size of skyscrapers come from that little seed. Because in the power of a little seed, it is endless how much one can do. One little action, never think about it as being small. The reason why sometimes or we don't do tshuva, or we carelessly do what we call a sin or do things, because we think, it's not such a big deal. Nobody's really looking that much. It's not such okay, it was just one action. Rabbi, don't exaggerate. You don't realize the power of your actions. They go out to far-reaching capabilities. They're able to go out of this world and they last forever. That's why, of course, we do tshuva, to erase any of the bad ones in order to avoid chas v'shalom anything that's bad that happened. But that's the idea of appreciating the totzaot, what came out. Mishnah's Rav Aaron Cutler writes this in Chelik Bet, page Reish Mem Aleph. Kedai to see it inside. Al Kopanim, this is an important yesod which we have to learn and appreciate at this time. This also explains a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, which says, Kavya ben Halal Kavya says, you know what? Lifnei mi ata din din v'cheshbon. A person always has to remember who is going to be in front of a din v'cheshbon, a judgment and a calculation. Shouldn't it be the other way around? First you do a cheshbon, a calculation. After the calculation, I'll put you in the din, and then you get your punishment or your reward. I have to first see what you did. That's what the Goyen asks. The Goyen gives an answer, not for now. But according to this, the answer is, says the Beit Alevi. The Beit Alevi, the answer is straightforward and simple. What's din v'cheshbon? Din is the action that you did now. You will get whatever required for you right now, and when a person dies, that din will happen. But cheshbon is all the future ramifications of that action, all the fruits of your event, of your actions. Everything that happens in the future, that will be affected by what you originally did. We only judge a person according to the place he is right now. So that's the din. But the cheshbon is year after year, after decade, or even 100 years after 100 years, even though the guy's not around anymore, his actions still are there. They exist. They're real. A person still gets schar for them, and maybe even a little bit onesh for them also. And therefore we see that tzaddikim, even when they're dead, even when they're not alive, afilu b'mitatan chaimhem, they're still considered alive. You know why? Why a tzaddik, even when he's not alive, is alive? Because they're still moving. There's still action going on. Things are going to be constantly progressing. And with this I finish, and an important message, and this we have to always understand. Instead of taking Yom Kippur and shifting the blame on someone else and saying it's because of that, or these events are occurring in Klal Yisrael, wow, look at the events that are happening, it's because of these evil Arabs, because of this government, or everything that's around it. No. It's time to not shift the blame on anyone else, but to put it on ourselves, to realize the power of our actions, and therefore understand our responsibilities, to realize that it's up to me to be able to make a change in myself and in the world around me. One time they went to the Brisker Rav, this is brought in the Sefer Yosef Da'at, and they asked him, in the 1948, there were a lot of casualties. Rahman al-Islam, I think even more than the present war that we're in right now. A tremendous amount of casualties in the 48 war. And they said to the Brisker Rav, you see these Mechalei Shabbat, these people who are not religious, and they're coming and trying to take Eretz Israel and make it not religious. It's all their fault. That's why we're having so many problems and so many deaths around us. The Brisker Rav said, and by the way, not being a very big Zionist, in an undertone, said that he brought from Yona Hanavi. He brought from the Sefer Yona Hanavi. This is why we read the Sefer Yona Hanavi on Yom Kippur. The Mishnah Berurah brings a reason, because it has to do with tshuva, and it teaches us how to do tshuva, of course, as Ninveh did tshuva. But says the Brisker Rav, he brings an example from Yona Hanavi, and this seems to me clearly the reason why we read the Sefer of Yona on Yom Kippur. And he said that basically the was a boat full of Oivdei Avodah Zarah. These people were idolaters. They were bowing down to idols. They were davening to their gods. They were people that weren't even keeping the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. And they were screaming and saying, Bishvil mi hara azot. Why is there a storm around us? Why is there problems? Why are we going to go under the ocean? Why? Save us. Who is this? They said they davened to this idol, this Avodah Zarah, that Avodah Zarah. Nothing was going. There was one Jew on board. His name was Yona Hanavi. Not only a religious man, but a Navi, a prophet. If there's one person on board, if you asked me, that I would say is not responsible for this problem, it was Yona. He's a very good person, listens to the words of Hashem, he's a good guy, leave him alone. And you know what Yona said? Bishvili hasar hagadol hazeh. This storm around you, it's all about me. It's my fault. It's all because of me. Not anybody around here, it's because of me. That's what the Brisker Rav said to them. He told them that stop blaming everybody else around you. Start pointing the finger at yourself. When we have piguim and things that happen, or events that occur in this world, here in Eretz Yisrael, or even around you, when things that happen around you in your shul, or in your community, or in your family, it's time to start pointing the finger at yourself instead of everybody else and blaming everybody else except for yourself. Bishvili hasar agadol hazeh. And you know what Yonah told them to do? Throw me overboard. Now, I'm not saying to commit suicide, that's not the message, but the idea here is sometimes you have to throw yourself overboard. You have to get yourself out of your comfort zone, do something that's not so comfortable, something that you would have preferred not to do, make the move, and then by getting thrown overboard, the storm will calm down. Yes, you have to make a change. It's not always easy to make that commitment. It's not always there to just go ahead and say slichot. But slichot is not meant to be just a lip service, just going ahead and reading that I am sorry. It's an idea of coming from inside out to apologize to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, yes, I realized Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Al Chet Shechatanu. We say it in a plural lashon. We say it in plural, Ashamnu in general. Why do we speak in the plural? Because we say, yes, it has to do with me. The events that are around in this world has to do with me. Not to make us feel guilty, not for self-esteem. Again, I'll say it 100 times. That's not what we mean to say over here. We're here to make it to understand the incredible power that I have behind every little action that I can do. We affect the world in many ways. The Beit HaLevi writes in Parsha Noach, the reason why there was a flood, like the storm by Yonah, there was a flood in the time of Noach, he says, is because everything was corrupt. Even the animals, botany was corrupt. The trees were corrupt. And you know why, he says? Because there's this second nature in us. When we do something again and again and again, just like it gives me a second nature, you turn robotic, you become automatic, so too it affects the whole entire world around me. It actually can affect animals and botany and around us, and it can do things that affect things that you wouldn't believe. They say in San Francisco, 30 or 40 years ago, birds were not reproducing. And they looked into it until they discovered that the reason why is because they were busy with Mishkav Zachar. There were male and male birds that were together, and therefore there was no reproduction system going on, because San Francisco was affected by the community in San Francisco. If that was true, then I have a feeling in America there's not too many birds reproducing in all of America anymore. But Al Kol Panim, I'm trying to point out that we see the ramifications of affecting ourselves, affecting our surroundings, and even after a person passes away, his actions still lie and continue forever. Appreciate your actions. Swallow them. Realize, Bishvili hasar hazot. This storm is here, and it's here only because of me, and that's what it's about. I'll end with a story. There was a President Reagan at the time. He wanted to make peace with North Korea, the head of North Korea, which obviously we knew there was a Cold War going on, and they are a very strong communist country presently also. And he came with a screen in order to be able to display a certain idea. He made a historic visit. Every time they go, they always say it's historic. And he wanted to go ahead and explain to them that we will remove sanctions, we can have commerce together, we can be friends if you just take down this communistic way of thinking, and let's make the world a better place. So he came with what we call a matzeget, he came with a screen, he came with a laptop, which wasn't in fashion so much at the time, with a whole type of display that was there. And basically the idea that was said on the screen is you should realize that this world contains billions of people. We have 8 billion people in this country, in this world. There are 8 billion people around, but many of them are ineffective. There is only a certain amount of leaders of countries that can make a change. The leaders of the countries, of the nations, they are the ones who are able to affect the world. If we come together and make the right decisions together at this very momentous and historical time, we will be able to change history as we know it. There will be peace forever if we will be able to go ahead and make a truce amongst us, and we'll be able to see eye to eye. The decision is in your hand, Mr. Leader of North Korea. You have the capabilities. Don't leave this opportunity. Don't miss this incredible opportunity which is standing in front of you. With all the pompeii and the music in the background and all the exciting display that this person gave to that was given over to this person, and of course the answer was a big fat no. But anyways, that's not relevant over here. I just want to mention one thing. We know politicians like to exaggerate. They like to lie. They like to, a lot of times, as they say, feed us Lakshan with kugel. They like to go ahead and give us a lot of empty promises. We're quite familiar, and here was another example of it, because everything he said was not true. Leiv malachim biyad Hashem, but everything that they make their decisions are usually temporary. They're changing, they're fleeting. A lot of times they don't have very much bearing on anyways, and it seems like something very impressive, but when there's one little kanech, things change. Those things that are done by those political leaders are not what make a change. He's wrong. You know who does? You, the one listening to this shir right now. Yes, us, 15 million measly Jews, that not measly, the amount of Jews in terms of the percentage of the amount of Jews, every action that you do has a tremendous amount of ramifications in the whole world, and even when you are not here. It might not be televised, it might not be put on any page of the New York Times, and it might not be done when you're wearing your suit and tie in front of a camera and trying to look impressive as you're trying to make some historical episode. But it makes history. Every little action that you do makes history in Shamayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows every action, and it has tremendous amount of a ripple effect that has no end to it. And that's why a person has to always remember, Bishveli Hasarazot. This storm, whatever's around, has to do with me, myself, and I, and nobody else. Therefore, I'm responsible for my actions. Therefore, I will go into Yom Kippur, Bezrat Hashem, trying to erase the past and try to build the future, because Tichle Shana v'Keloloteya v'Tachel Shana u'Birchoteya.